Welcome in, whiskey freaks, to the Blind Tasting Podcast, your number one attitudinal bourbon destination. I'm John Stark, your host, and I'll be bringing you candid and sometimes irreverent whiskey news, opinions, and reviews on the industry and the products they've been bringing us for hundreds of years. All right, whiskey freaks, today we're taking pumpkin spice lattes to the next level. That's right, we're breaking them down right here, like a 14-year-old girl on TikTok. I mean, we're going to obsess over the cinnamon, we're going to freak out over the buttery pumpkin notes, and I'm going to rate it with all the seriousness of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominating committee. By the end, we'll either salute the PSL as fall royalty, or we'll laugh at it for existing at all. But yeah, no, we will not be doing that today, guys. Today we focus on nothing but bourbon-y goodness because I got all kinds of things to throw your way. And we might just learn something while we're at it. I got a couple new releases, so to speak, from our good friends at Heaven Hill and Wild Turkey. You're going to want to hear about that for the holiday season. I want to talk about Ezra Brooks 99. Remember that Traeger Smoker Sweepstakes I talked about several episodes ago? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it today. I'm going to give you an update. And I want to talk about 3 of the best bourbons to gift this holiday season based on what I think. And finally, I'm going to give a quick review, kind of a recommendation of Dented Brick Straight Rye Whiskey. Yeah, I'd never heard of it either. And what I wanted to know was, do they really, is it possible that they have good whiskey in the state of Utah? Yeah, right. So stay tuned and find out. So you're probably wondering, what have you been drinking lately, Stark? Yeah, you've probably not really been wondering that. But guess what? I'm going to share it with you anyway. Today, I'm getting into an old bottle I had laying around. I don't think you call it a dusty, but it is dusty on the shelf down here in the bunker. I am going to pour a little splash today for myself while I pod of Jim Beam Distillers Cut. You're thinking, never heard of that one. Well, that's because it's from back in 2017. And luckily I have, well, this is my backup bottle because I finished the first one back in 2018. So I have just about a third of this bottle left now of the Distillers Cut. It was, gosh, it's great. I just love it. And look, I paid, and I'm not a Jim Beam fanboy, but you guys know I do respect what they do there most all the time. Minus Booker's. Go listen to my Booker's episodes. Anyway, and don't misunderstand, I do like Booker's, but just do it. And get this, I paid $26 for this bottle of Distillers Cut in Lancaster, Kentucky, way back in November of 2017. It's unfiltered. It's 5 to 6 years old, Beam distillate, aged perfectly, in my opinion, and it's one of my favorites. So I'm going to sip it today while I ramble here on the pod. Then first, before I get too far into the episode today, I want to give a shout out to all the folks in the Metro East Bourbon Society. If y'all live in the area, the St. Louis area, the East Side, all that, you might want to check them out. Metro East Bourbon Society. I want to give a special shout out to Matt at Mebs. Seems like a cool guy. They all seem like cool guys. Just want to give a shout out and tell them thank you for letting me into the group. I've been in the group as a regular person, per se, for years, but the podcast, I was able to join with the podcast recently. I really appreciate that. Metro East Bourbon Society. Thanks, guys. And before I get totally going here, I want to wish y'all, I hope y'all had a happy Thanksgiving. And we did here for sure. Well, actually, not here. We went to Kentucky and we visited the in-laws and other folks, and we had a great time. But sadly, and I say sadly because Buffalo Trace dropped 3 straight days of Old Weller Antique 107. And the timing just didn't work out for me. I was going to visit Jep the Creed, and I was going to swing by Buffalo Trace to see if they had anything. I was really wanting to get that, or either that 125 proof rye that they recently came out with. But it just didn't work out for me. Hopefully it will on a future trip. You know what? We had a great family time, and more importantly, we had to leave early to beat the snow home, this freaking snow. So it was a family-only trip, no bourbon this time. But like I said, it was a great visit. It's always good to drive past Wild Turkey and Four Roses and Buffalo Trace and Jep the Creed and wave at them, even if I didn't get to swing by. Let me get a sip of this real quick. Just like I love it. So here's the deal. I got a couple new releases, and this one, to say the least, I'm intrigued. And might want to tell the wife about it real quick, just in time for Christmas. So our good friends at Heaven Hill, Elijah Craig to be exact, they've launched what they're calling Char Number 3. And it's actually, it's not bourbon, it's a cologne inspired by their bourbon. Yeah, you too can now smell like a charred oak barrel without actually drinking any bourbon. It seems kind of like a bummer to me. But Heaven Hill says it captures the transformative moment where fire and oak meet. Which sounds impressive, but I'm going to translate that for you because that's what I do here, guys. Let me translate what transformative moment where fire and oak meet means. It really means you're going to smell like a campfire in your best Sunday go-to-meeting clothes. That's the translation. The fragrance, they say, the fragrance layers juniper, orange blossom, birch, nutmeg, and smoky oak over vanilla and cocoa. And it's all meant to evoke Kentucky in a bottle, or in this case, on your neck. Now, Heaven Hill assures us it's timeless and modern with depth and character. And good news, Elijah Craig Char Number 3, it can be ordered on Heaven Hill's website for $49.99. It's in limited quantities at Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience in Bardstown, Kentucky as well. And here's another cool release, and this is just in time for the holiday season, guys. It's not whiskey, again, sorry to disappoint, but it is whiskey tangent, so to speak. It actually makes sense for a super cool Christmas gift. And it's the Wild Orchard Bold Fashioned Deluxe Kit. Let me explain what that is. For those of you who enjoy pretending to be a bartender, this one's going to be right up your alley. This kit is basically a portable cocktail operation, really. You get a 1 liter bottle of Wild Turkey 101, and check it out, a 1.75 liter big ass container, like this big can with the screw lid on it, so you can mix a whole batch ahead of time. You can throw it in this bag, and you can look incredibly prepared at any holiday gathering, or cabin trip, or parking lot. Look, I don't know your life. They even tossed in apples and honey gourmet popcorn into this kit so you can snack like a civilized human while you're sipping on this concoction that you make. But seriously, what's exactly inside the kit? Well, you've got the bourbon, you've got this big-ass container that you mix it in, a spiced cider concentrate, hibiscus apple bitters, dried apple slices, an orange, popcorn, a funnel, and the recipe so you don't screw it up. The long story short here is it's an old-fashioned with some, let's say, some extra personality, and the coolest thing about it is you can take it anywhere. So yeah, you can grab it right now on Wild Turkey's website for the low price of $114.99. They don't pay me to say this, but it looks cool if you're into that kind of thing. It's portable. You can hide it. It's kind of fun. You're doesn't look like you have liquor with you. Just anyway, take a look. You might like it. And I'm thinking, I don't know, you might be able to cobble this kind of thing together on your own for less money, but hey, it's all in this one package. Just swing over to Wild Turkey and check it out. Or forward the link to your significant other. Okay, so I told you at the opening of the show I was going to talk about the Traeger Smoker from Ezra Brooks 99. So gather round, ye old pot still whiskey freaks. Let me tell you a little story. Now look, I'm not trying to brag here, but I never win anything, like ever. And if there's a contest for who loses the most contests, I would also lose that contest, actually. But hang on, let me back up. Remember way back in season 2, episode 34, it really wasn't that long ago, just a few months back, and I told you all that Ezra Brooks 99 from our good friends at Lux Row were giving away 99 Traeger smokers. And I said, enter the sweepstakes. It was simple. You give them your name, your email, boom, you're done. Well, fast forward a few weeks after that episode. I'm sitting here one afternoon and I get this email from some outfit called Air Baton. And I'm thinking, what the hell is an Air Baton? Well, the email says, I won a Traeger smoker, and all I have to do is send them my social security number and fill out this form and email it back to them. So naturally, I forward it to my wife, and I'm like, hey, honey, does this look real to you? And she says, mostly. It looks mostly okay. And I'm like, that's not the confidence level I wanted, but I run this kind of shit past her. So she's like, mostly. And I'm like, okay, whatever, man. It's a Traeger smoker. So I fill in my social security number and I send this affidavit back to them. And the next day I get another email from Air Baton. And this time they tell me my brand new smoker is going to be shipped in 4 to 6 weeks. Okay. Now, at this point, I'm still convinced somebody's about to take out a loan in my name and buy a boat or a tanning bed or something. I'm picturing myself having to sign up for LifeLock. You know, those LifeLock, protect yourself, right? You hear those crazy commercials, right? But then, get this, guys. 1 week later, they said 4 to 6 weeks. Well, 1 week later, it's about 9 in the morning. I'm down here putting some bottles up on the shelf. I get a call. And it's the delivery company saying they're almost to my driveway. And sure enough, and you can go look at my socials, you can look at my Instagram and Facebook. The photo, if you don't have a photo, it didn't happen, right? Go look at my socials. These dudes dropped off a legit Traeger smoker, an $800 Traeger 575. They drop off this pallet and they put it in my garage for absolutely free. All I did was fill out the sweepstakes, just like I told all of y'all to do. So I smoked ribs on this bad boy last week before the snow hit, and I'm about to throw a pork butt on there soon. I want it to warm up just a little bit. My brother says you don't have to wait for it to warm up. I'm going to wait for it to warm up just a little bit, and we're going to do a pork butt out there. But anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is this is not a paid endorsement or an ad for Ezra Brooks 99. They did not pay me when I reviewed it back on, I think it was season 2, episode 4. I reviewed Ezra Brooks 99. It was a great review. I love Ezra Brooks 99, as I do a lot, not all, but a lot of things they're doing at Lux Row. And they sure as hell aren't paying me now. But I do want to say big thanks to Lux Row. Yeah, I can't believe it either. I won one of the 99 smokers they gave away. It feels pretty great, to be honest. So good news for me. A, nobody stole my identity that I know of yet. And I've got a badass smoker that's going to get plenty of use while I sip on some fine bourbons and whiskeys. Look, I'm not bragging, guys. That's just what happened. And I'm kissing ass now. I really owe it to all of y'all. Yeah, that's right. And if I wasn't doing this podcast, there is a good chance that I wouldn't have stumbled on this Ezra Brooks 99 thing. So at least some of the credit goes to all y'all. So what's our takeaways today, JoJo? Well, number 1, listen to the podcast. Number 2, do exactly what I say. Yeah, no, don't do anything I say. But seriously, guys, I appreciate y'all very much. And I want to give a thanks again to Traeger and Lux Row and all the things. If you want to see the smoker, like I said, check out my socials at Instagram and Facebook. So let me get another sip on this Jim Beam Distillers Cut. Guys, I got to admit, I still love this stuff. It's got all the things, kids. It's got the creamy mouthfeel. It's got the rich caramel notes. It's got the smooth vanilla flavor in it. Just a little slight peppery note in here, and even. And it's got that slight peanut note. If you don't like that, you're not going to like this. I know there are a lot of folks that just absolutely hate Knob Creek because of that. And some Jim Beam products. This product is no exception. It does have a little bit of that peanut note. I happen to love it. I enjoy it. And if you can find it, and I'd say I'd probably pay up to like $50 for it if I could find it at this point. This was kind of a one-off back several years ago, like I said. And I guess you could say it's 100 proof, and we can get Knob Creek right at 100 proof and all that. But this, to me, this one's unique. I love it, and if I could find it, I'd probably pick up another. And like I always say, guys, you do you.
Ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas!
Yep, it's almost here. Santa's coming down the chimney, and now that many of us are back to work in an office, or we're actually having Christmas parties and we're no longer hiding from the COVID, it's time to think about getting that whiskey guy or gal, the boss, a buddy, that super cool chick you're into. It's time to talk about getting a decent bottle for Christmas. You don't want to be that clown who accidentally grabs a bottle of Red Stag and gives it to the boss thinking, oh boy, he's going to love this stuff. Yeah, so that happened in a past life, guys. I repeat, don't ever do that. Like, ever. So what should you do? What should you get? Well, I say anything out there that fits the bill for a reasonably priced bottle that does, for me, that does two things. It impresses. And also, you don't have to stop off at CarMax for a payday loan before you enter the liquor store. So I've got the top 3 bourbons that I believe you should gift this holiday season. And I'm going to start with number 3, Willet Pot Still Reserve. All right, whiskey freaks, there's always reasons. And for me, the Willet Pot Still Reserve. The bottle looks like a tiny copper pot still, guys. And that means your gift will instantly say, I know my bourbon. It doesn't mean you know your bourbon, but it looks cool. And the bourbon inside, for a lot of people, delivers. For other people, it does not deliver. It's kind of a hate it or love it type of situation. But the cool factor of the bottle is something. Now, some folks swear it's great. And others, well, they just like the cool bottle. Some folks describe it as having a toasted nut flavor, dark fruits, a touch of spice, classic sweetness, that kind of thing that makes you nod in approval while pretending you're sophisticated. Now, this one's perfect for the friend who likes style as much as substance. And they're going to ooh and ah over the bottle, like I said. They're going to sip the bourbon, and they're going to feel like they hit a home run without realizing it's under $100. This one's approachable, guys. It's balanced. It's fun. It's a safe bet when you need a gift that doesn't require a full tasting flight or a lesson in bourbon history. If someone's new to bourbon, but you still want to impress, this is your number 3. It's thoughtful, it's drinkable, and it's just a little bit flashy, which, let's be honest, is exactly what the holidays are all about. You got to look good too, right? Remember that Sprite had that commercial back many years ago? It said, image is everything. There you go. Who would have thought a Sprite commercial would say so much and mean so much to the world we live in? Image is everything. Number 2, coming in at number 2 for me is Knob Creek 12-year. Now, it's a bourbon that's serious without being pretentious. And it's a full-bodied Kentucky bourbon with that flavor that I almost described it a few minutes ago talking about the Distillers Cut, because I think there's a lot of similarities there. It comes in at 100 proof, which means about anybody will be able to drink it. And it's got all those notes that you would expect from bourbon. It's kind of the quintessential bourbon, only it's a little bit older, right? It's not your basic 9-year Knob Creek. Unlike some bottles that are all marketing, this one actually delivers on taste, and you get a rich, rounded palate, a little chew on the sip, and that unmistakable 12-year depth that's a little bit better than that 9-year. It's normally priced around $70. I got a bottle of it about a month ago. Here in town for $69.99, and I've seen it from time to time at Bobby's Glenmart BP down the road and at the Save On. If you can find it, if you look and it's $70, pick one up. It's not going to break the bank, and the 12-year makes for a super smart gift that says, I actually put some thought into this. This is a bourbon for your friend who appreciates classic flavors, like sipping by the fire. For somebody that's unpretentious, right? It's Knob Creek. It's not something you drink with your pinky up in the air, right? You don't have to put your ascot on to drink Knob Creek 12. It's totally a solid holiday gift, guys, and that lands well with just about everybody. And coming in at number 1, the number 1 bourbon to gift at the holidays, at the Christmas season, the number one choice by me is E.H. Taylor's Small Batch. Now, for me, this is the crown jewel of my best bourbons to gift this year. Look, it's a classic Kentucky bourbon done right. It's got caramel, it's got vanilla, subtle baking spices in there. In my opinion, it's got just that little tinge of black licorice in there, which I love. And it's smooth enough for casual drinkers because it's 100 proof, but it's layered enough for whiskey freaks who sip carefully and enjoy what we would call the good stuff. That small batch production gives it a little extra cred without going full limited edition here. And it's got that vibe, that Buffalo Trace vibe. And guess what, guys? Nowadays, it's actually available. You can find it at Schnucks in town here for $56. You can find it at Bobby's. You can find it everywhere in my town. And I'm seeing it on the internet. Everybody's got it. And it's priced usually somewhere between $55 and $80 on the high end. And it just screams, I'm giving you a thoughtful gift. It comes in the fun box, the round box, right? It's got the beautiful presentation. And your special recipient can enjoy it neat. They can enjoy it on the rocks. They can even put on their ascot and pretend they understand all the nuances of bourbon tasting at the family holiday party. And I really hate to use this word, but it is smooth. It's elegant and it's full of character. E.H. Taylor's Small Batch is the bourbon that wins every time. You're basically giving whoever your loved one or person you care about for the Christmas or holiday season, you're given a sip of Kentucky perfection without having to bribe the guy at the liquor store. And that's a Christmas miracle if I've ever seen one. So let me recap. Number 3, Willet Pot Still. Number 2, Knob Creek 12 year because it means more than 9. Yeah. And the crowd pleaser, for me at least, the number one choice of mine to gift to the boss or a buddy or a chick you like this holiday season is E.H. Taylor Small Batch. They're all totally gettable. They're all under $100, and none of them require you to sell a kidney in the parking lot to afford them. And if you show up with any one of these at a Christmas party, people are going to assume you actually know what you're doing. And the best part is you didn't blow your whole budget. And guess what that means? That means you can grab an extra bottle for yourself on the way out, because after all, it is the holidays and you deserve a little something special too. Hey, whiskey freaks. Quick announcement here. I wrote a book. Yeah, me, a real book with real stories. It's called Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS. Barrel strength legends, lies, and untold tales, and it's packed with dozens of wild, weird whiskey tales from the strangest corners of bourbon history. And every chapter ends with one question. Was it whiskey wisdom or was it BS? You want to learn about whiskey history and have fun while you're doing it? Well, then you need to grab this book. It's just $10 on Amazon Kindle. It's cheap, it's fun, and all the cool kids are doing it. So don't be left out because you want to be cool too, right? Did I mention it's just $10? Yeah, and you can read it on any device with the free Amazon Kindle app. Just hit the link in the show notes, grab a pour, grab the book, and enjoy the whiskey history. And Christmas is coming, guys, so get the book for somebody you love. You can gift it to them through Amazon. It's a thing, for real. It's true. That's Whiskey Wisdom and Bourbon BS. Barrel strength legends, lies, and untold tales. So I asked the question in my opening, and I'll ask it here again. Is it possible to get any good whiskey out of Utah, of all places? You know, the place where the Mormons and the deer and the antelope roam. But first, let me give you a backstory. The backstory is this. It's quick, so hang with me, guys. I went out with some friends, I guess it was now at this point 2 weeks ago, and we went to a place in southern Missouri, of all places. And this place, which I'm not going to name, well, hang on, I'm going to get another sip of this Jim Beam Distillers Cut. Okay, so before I go any further, let me back up just real quick, guys. This isn't a traditional review like I would do. It's not a blind tasting. I'm not going to do a tasting here and a review. Today I'm doing two different things. I'm sipping on this Distiller's Cut, which I might mention at the end, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this Utah rye whiskey. So back to my story. We went to southern Missouri to meet some friends, and we went to this place. And one of the things I noticed on their website is they kind of brag about having a good whiskey selection there on their menu. And I hate to tell them, but it is not a terrific whiskey list. But it was sufficient for a whiskey freak like me. And what I mean by that is they had a few bourbons and they had a few whiskeys to choose from. So if you're anything like me, and I'm always on the lookout for anything new or different or weird, and well, lo and behold, I see this one on the menu. Dented Brick Rye Whiskey. And I know right away, yes sir, this is the one I'm trying today. And I'm trying it for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's weird sounding. Dented Brick. Don't know what the hell that means at this point, but I'm thinking that's the one I'm going to grab. My second reason, like I said, there's always reasons, is I like ryes. So I want to try this rye. I've never heard of it before. It sounds weird. We'll see what happens. Number 3, I'm going to have some good content for the podcast. That's always a plus. And number 4, it's pretty reasonably priced for a decent sized pour. So the stars kind of align for me. And so here we are. So I get my pour. I take a picture of the bottle. I asked the waitress, can you bring the bottle? I want to take a picture of the bottle. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm an old guy. What am I going to tell you, right? I got to have a picture of the bottle so I can do some research on it later. Anyway, I'm that guy. So I start sipping, and I always try to evaluate my whiskey if I'm out at a place before I get my food. We've talked about umami. We've talked about the way that different foods can impact your palate and the way you perceive flavors. If you eat a spicy meal, or if you eat a steak, or if you eat various things, it's going to, whether you like it or not, it's going to impact the way you receive those flavors in your mouth. So I do it. I wanted to evaluate it, or at least kind of run through it in my head before I get any food. That said, I'll drink some while I eat, or even after I eat too. But to analyze it, I don't want any apps or things to mess up my palate at this point. If you eat dusted Creole shrimp, or pretzel bites with mustard beer sauce, all the thing, and you try to taste, it's just going to be off. So let me give you the deets, because when I got home, naturally, I'd taken a picture of the bottle. I looked all this up because I was like, Dented Brick, what the hell is that? Well, the distillery is Dented Brick Distillery in Salt Lake City, Utah. First of all, I didn't know they drank in the state of Utah. Clearly, they drink in the state of Utah, and they have distilleries. And the deets on the Dented Brick Distillery, it says, Dented Brick Distillery produces a full line of award-winning spirits, including vodka, gin, rum, whiskey, and authentic tequila. With a commitment to excellence in production, Dented Brick has established itself, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And what they really love at Dented Brick in Utah, Dented Brick proprietary artesian well water, because it's always about the water. Everybody's got to tell you about the beautiful, wonderful, fantastic water that they have, and this is no exception at Dented Brick. They say water is the key to producing exceptional, handcrafted spirits, and ours flows clean and pure from the snowmelt of the Rocky Mountains. It's chemical and bacteria-free. This water forms the perfect foundation for our spirits. So anyway, they say the snowmelt runoff from the Rocky Mountains, it flows through the earth to their artesian well. It's naturally, when it goes through the ground, it naturally sheds impurities and all that good stuff. I think the folks at Devil's River said that too, and Devil's River was crap. But anyway, that was a terrible rye whiskey. Anyway, they say the same type of thing here at Dented Brick in Utah. And their history there is really kind of awesome. You know how much I love the Old West and gunfighters and all that. This backstory about this distillery brings a lot of that kind of thing to the table. So here's a little Utah distilling history. We're going to do 2 minutes of history, and then I'll tell you what I think. And it's way more interesting than you'd expect from the land of ski resorts and questionable dry counties, guys. This Dented Brick Distillery has a backstory that actually connects straight to one of Utah's earliest whiskey makers, and he's a guy named Hugh Moon. This guy, Moon, and his family came over from Liverpool in 1840 as some of the very first overseas Mormon converts. And apparently he took one look at Salt Lake City and said, these folks need some whiskey. So according to his own journal, he started distilling to meet local demand. So I didn't know that. This is 1840. Anyway, This guy did well enough to buy an entire city block, and it was nowhere but up from that point forward for this guy Moon. But here's the twist that makes the thing cool for me. The land Moon bought in 1856, that land he used to grow sugarcane and rye and other grains for his whiskey, it's the exact same land that Dented Brick sits on today. So they're literally building, I hate that word literally, right? But they're literally building modern craft spirits on top of early Utah distilling history. Very cool. And the name is also pretty wild. The property has here we go. The property has an artesian well that was first identified by a water witcher, because that's real. His son, who actually drilled the well, ended up in a gunfight on the property, and he was killed there. So the shootout left bullet dents in the bricks of his home. So when Dented Brick built their distillery, they used some of those original bricks, dents, and all, to build the distillery. So that ties it all together, guys. The Dented Brick, the Old West, the Mormons, the gunfights, all that good stuff. So it's a distillery with actual history. They didn't make this shit up like some of these places do. This history is actually baked right into the walls of the distillery. Let me get another sip of this Jim Beam Distillers Cut. I'm starting to lose my voice. Okay, like I mentioned, this Dented Brick is a straight rye, and they've named it Moon's Best. Get it? Moon after Hugh Moon. Moon's Best Straight Rye Whiskey. It's a straight rye, and there's no age statement. The mash bill is 100% rye, and it comes in at 90 proof. So all those factors, all that kind of lines up for me to be potential success, right? Now, on the nose for me, I got a little bit of vanilla and rye spice, very light notes. But I think that's kind of be expected for something that's so young and at 90 proof. But on the palate, I got sweet and earthy notes right out the gate. It's got almost no mouthfeel, and it's pretty dry on the finish. But after a couple more sips, as I sat there, again, didn't get any food, I'm just sipping whiskey. Maybe that's not a great idea, but that's what I do. Couple more sips on this thing, the flavors really start to come through. Other notes that kind of came out while I was sipping over the 3 or 4 or 5 minutes were molasses. I got a bit of peppery smoke. Now, all these notes were light, but it was fresh and it was satisfying for what it is, which is a very young 100% rye whiskey. And the bottle, okay, if you can find this bottle, it's just $40. And I think I'd be glad to have it on my shelf for $40. So Dented Brick Rye Whiskey, I would say it's been better than, now I wouldn't say it's better than the Still Austin Rye I reviewed several months ago. Way better than Devil's River, that was garbage. The Rye Money Pinhook that I reviewed was also garbage. This stuff really held its own. 90 proof, $40. It's got a fun backstory. It's from the Wild West outlaw days, the story, the whole bit. I think this would be fantastic. This would be a fantastic gift too for somebody who's into that type of thing, or anybody that loves history, and anybody who loves a decent rye whiskey. Now look, I'm not trying to make Dented Brick out to be like the savior of American whiskey or anything like that. I'm just saying I'm glad I stepped outside the usual Kentucky comfort zone for once, and I grabbed a pour the other night for $8 US American dollars. Now it was mostly out of curiosity, and you know what? It was worth it. It was different, but in a good way. Well, there's no verdict, so to speak, today, folks. Just some decent whiskey to tell you about. And I really think it's nice to be reminded that there's interesting stuff happening outside the usual states like Kentucky or Indiana, or even Missouri's got a big scene going on, or even Tennessee to a certain extent. The ones we all default to. This Dented Brick, it's not life-changing. It's not rewriting the whiskey Bible here, but it's good enough that I'd happily pour it again. And honestly, that's really all I'm looking for sometimes. Guys, thanks for seriously listening to me carry on while I sip good whiskey and maybe even once in a while rant a little. It really means a lot to me. There are 4 million podcasts out there, and you guys chose to listen to this one today, so I really appreciate it. And don't forget to swing by on all the platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon. You can ask your smart device to play Blind Tasting Podcast, and guess what? She will. So do that, guys. Subscribe, like, share, all the things. It means a lot. And last but not least, I got to give a shout out to the farmers, distillery production guys and gals, warehouse workers, bottlers, and the truck drivers. I say this every single week, guys. These folks are the ones that make it happen for us. So cheers to all of them. Well, that's all I got for today, Whiskey Freaks. Thanks for listening to the Blind Tasting Podcast, your #1 attitudinal bourbon destination.